week, we've got two notables to update you on. Grammy Award winner Carlos Santana collapses while performing on tour. And then Pastor John Gray, right now in a critical care unit, suffering from a life-threatening illness. I'll tell you what to do if you're still testing positive from COVID-19. When do you come out of isolation? And then why this pre-workout supplement made it to my A-list. I've added timestamps below so you can skip to what piques your interest. If you can't use it, pass it on to somebody who can. Let's get started.
The 5-minute checkup with Dr. Dave and Dr. Dave's A-list.
Carlos Santana, Grammy winner and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, fainted while he was playing one of his songs on tour this week. Some of the earlier reports were that he was going to sit down while he was playing. That was uncharacteristic for him. And as he was sitting, he very quickly lost consciousness. But he did, back in December 2021, have what was called an unscheduled heart procedure. We don't know very many other details about it, but he did post a video saying he was feeling something in his chest and had to, quote, take care of it, and so he did. We also don't know whether or not the fainting had anything to do with that heart procedure or the condition that led to the procedure. But here are my takeaways for you. When we faint, what doctors call syncope, when we faint, the brain is saying that it's not getting enough blood. And the brain hates not getting enough blood. It doesn't like to be deprived of blood. So it's going to send you a signal that is pretty dramatic so that you can know that. And that signal is sudden onset of warmth, sweatiness, GI symptoms like nausea, and then the lights start to go down. The actual fainting is not a problem. It's actually compensatory. What the body's saying is it's much harder to get blood to go up against gravity up to your brain than it is to get you to go down like this. And so the brain says, if I don't get enough blood with oxygen and goodies and stuff in it, I'm going to shut the whole game down. Now, here are two ways that you could avoid or prevent fainting. Number one, keep your tank full. We talked about hydration last week. It's so critical. One of the ways to know if you're hydrated is to look for signs of clearer urine. If your urine is dark and concentrated, you've got work to do. Number two, listen to the brain. If the brain's trying to get you to go down, don't try to walk into another room and try to figure it out or go try to find a Get yourself down as quickly and safely as you can, but do it under your own power, because if you faint and you lose consciousness, you can hit your head or even worse. So just how long should I isolate? And what if I'm still testing positive? So many of you already know that the numbers of COVID-19 are rising really, really rapidly to the point where New York is saying, wear your mask in indoor settings again. I just tell people, just as an aside, have a well thought out plan. Have a strategy for you and your family should you develop COVID-19. Very many people are not isolating, although they know they have COVID-19. The CDC says this: isolate yourself if you know you have COVID-19 or you're tested positive for COVID-19 for at least 5 days. And if after 5 days you have no fever for 24 hours and your symptoms are improving or getting better, then you can come out of isolation just as long as you wear a mask for the next 5 days, so a total of 10 days. Now, here's a problem with that. Very, very many people have no symptoms whatsoever, like really, honestly, no symptoms. And the fever's so rare that I don't think people are even checking. They don't even feel warm enough, and when they do check, there's no fever. So many people don't have a fever. I think, in my opinion, that you should test your way out of isolation. You should test yourself if you think you have it. You should test yourself if you've been exposed. You should test yourself if you think you've got a symptom. But you should also test yourself out of isolation. Pastor John Gray of the Relentless Church in Greenville was rushed to the hospital this past weekend and was found to have a saddle pulmonary embolus, also known as a PE, which is just a blood clot that forms in the lower part of the body and then embolizes or travels from that part of the body into the lungs. It goes through the heart and into the lungs. It turns out that he had so much clot that it actually wedged into the main arteries. It goes through the heart and then wedges into the main arteries and can impede blood from flowing, and therefore is very life-threatening. That's why he's in the critical care unit. It is likely that physicians have blood thinners going, and the proceduralists are either planning or have already done procedures to try to get some of that clot out of there in one way, shape, or form. You might remember Serena Williams had a couple run-ins with PEs, or pulmonary emboli. The last one was after the birth of her daughter. It was thought that the clot had formed in the lower part of her body and then embolized or traveled into her lungs. But several years before that, she had injured her leg was thought to form that clot down by the injury that then traveled or embolized up to her heart. Those are the two main ways that people form clots that then can travel in your veins. One of them is injury to the tissue. The tissue is healing and it clots, whether that's surgery or a motor vehicle accident or some other kind of injury. And then the other way is just immobilizing the part of the body, like the extremities, for example. If you immobilize the leg on a long car ride, or you get on a plane ride and it's 8 hours long and you don't move, you can form clots that then gain access to your heart and then into your lungs. Our thoughts and prayers are with Pastor John Gray and his family and his whole congregation.